Hello, my name's Joe French from Consonance Project Management. I've been working in projects and programs for 25 years, and in that time I've run upwards of 320 courses in project, program, portfolio and risk management and agile ways of working. And I also play the blues harmonica. So the word agile is on everybody's lips at the moment, and I'm going to take you through some of the benefits of adopting an agile approach in a project management environment. But rather than bore you senseless with a bunch of processes and procedures and roles and responsibilities, I'm going to take you through it by posing quite a challenging question, which is, when somebody asks me to do a job, rather than get into the details of the task, I'll sometimes ask, how should I do it if my life depended on it? Okay, so I'm going to put that question to you. How would you run a project if your life depended on it? You probably wouldn't look quite as relaxed as that gentleman there. In fact, you'd probably have to kind of come over your nerves to start off with, but once you'd settle down, you'd start to realise there's a few things you need to get right in a project. I mean, things that you really, really need to get right, such as the team, the plan, the way you're building whatever it is you're building, and how you keep the whole thing under control. So first, the team. So it's very simple. Get the very best team you can, and don't be fobbed off by people telling you that you have to settle for a bunch of incompetents because they're the only people that are available. Remember, your life will be in their hands. And you don't want a whole army, by the way, who might get in each other's way and might kill you in a friendly fire incident. You want to have a select few who will stick with the project throughout its life. And the best team, by the way, doesn't necessarily mean the best, most talented individuals, as I'm sure Ringo Starr would agree. They need to work together, and the whole has to be greater than the sum of the parts. And by the way, don't tell them how to do their jobs, because you hired them because they're the best. So just let them get on with it. But you do need to be very clear with them about their objectives, okay? So you've got to set some very crystal clear objectives with absolutely unmistakable acceptance criteria so that they do understand instinctively when they have delivered the right thing. You've also got to tell them you've got to make sure that they agree how to work together before they start the work, because if you imagine there are a couple of airline pilots, you don't want them bickering over following the correct procedure when you get into trouble in the middle of a flight. So you're going to have to give the team what they need in order to work, okay? And what that means is you need to give them the tools they tell you that they need, and you need to give them a working environment that's conducive to work, free of interruptions. So tell anyone who wants to disturb them unnecessarily, they'll have to get past you first in a fight to the death. But you do need them to make sure they can get hold of anybody that they need access to, unfettered access to anybody who they may have a question for, and you need to insist that those people will give them an answer promptly, okay? I would advise avoiding torture as a method of extracting information, but you might get desperate, I suppose. So as far as the actual solution, have the team build their own solution, and as soon as they can, you need them to knock up a prototype, okay? Because it's really important, if there are lethal consequences, if there's anything wrong with it, you need to find that out as soon as possible. So they need to understand how to improve it to give you the best chance of survival. So get them to try again, to try and make sure they hone that solution using feedback from the people who are most affected. It's also good if the customer's kept up to date on the developing idea of what will be delivered, so there won't be any surprises when they get them. And by the way, if it's about live burial, make sure that they've got air holes that are big enough. So the project does need to remain under control through regular stand-up meetings, and to avoid misunderstanding, it's good to communicate face-to-face as much as you can. Use compelling imagery on the walls. Try to avoid unnecessary documentation. Nobody went to the grave with an inscription saying, "I wish I'd read more reports." So as well as the final goal, you need to set them intermediate goals and make sure they understand the priorities which may change during the course of the project. There will be fires that ignite along the way, and you need to react to them promptly because the original idea may not turn out to be the best one. So finally, at the end of the project, you need to ensure the customer has everything they need to support them in a long and happy life of benefits. So the question is, if this is how you would run a project that your life depended on, why not run every project like this? Well, the fact is that you can. By incorporating Agile principles, which I have cleverly smuggled into this Pecha Kucha presentation. Agile principles like empowering and trusting a small, appropriately skilled and adequately equipped team to create a solution free of interruptions. Setting that team clear objectives and making sure they agree on the way of working before they start. Agile principles like encouraging the team to converge on a solution via several delivered iterations with regular, meaningful feedback from those most affected, and keeping things under control via daily face-to-face conversations and rich communication where you can. So, like the t-shirt said in the 1980s, choose life. And why not choose Agile project management? Especially if it's for a project with an immovable deadline where the outcome is critically important and where it's likely that the requirements are going to change during the lifetime of the project. So thank you for listening anyway. I've come to the end of the presentation. I'm Joe French from Constance Project Management. I'll be available later to answer any questions, and I'll give the last word to the harmonica. Thank you.